It's the crime that strikes 10 million Americans each year.
Now, an NBC Action News and Scripps Howard News Service investigation pinpoints for the first time the neighborhoods where identity theft happens the most in Kansas City. Call for Action's Keith King also shows us who is most at risk.
Elizabeth and Mark, certain types of ID theft are skyrocketing here in Kansas City. Tonight, for the first time, our investigation breaks down by zip code where identity theft is happening the most in Kansas City. Is it your neighborhood? Captain Ted Bowman is a seasoned Raytown police investigator. He's experienced in credit card fraud cases. But a few years back, Bowman got a surprise. Someone used his credit card to go on a shopping spree.
After several phone calls, I learned that a purchase had been made, that it had been made with my name, and delivered to a different address.
Bowman ran a credit report and found someone had made purchases under his name. The goods then shipped to an address that wasn't his. This cop realized even he's not immune to ID theft.
The address was made up. It was used to deliver the stuff, and they gave it in order to verify their presence.
He's far from alone. Call for Action and our reporting partners, Scripps Howard News Service, investigated over 1 million identity theft complaints into the Federal Trade Commission. The investigation reveals certain crimes are actually down, like what happened to Bowman. In 2005, the FTC had 158 complaints in the Kansas City area of existing credit cards being used illegally. In 2009, the number dropped to 98. Why? Credit card companies and banks cracked down on the crime.
Credit card company saw it, recognized it. Their fraud department called me that afternoon and closed the credit card.
But other crimes are on the rise. Take a look at what's called tax or wage ID theft. That's when a crook steals your tax return or paycheck. In 2005, 51 complaints in the metro. In 2009, the number grows to 148. Employment ID, also on the rise. That's when an ID is stolen, often to get work illegally. 96 cases in 2005 to 173 in 2009. And just where is this crime happening? Our investigation pinpoints the number of complaints by zip code.
My advice would be to check your account regularly.
Sherelle Simmons lives in Olathe zip code 66061. A few weeks ago, someone used her debit card to buy a plane ticket to Southeast Asia. Her zip code has 162 complaints over the last 5 years. That's the 4th highest in Kansas City.
Had I waited until the end of the month, I would have been wiped out completely.
Captain Bowman works in Raytown zip code 64133. 180 complaints there, the 2nd highest in Kansas City. And the number 1 zip code with the most ID theft complaints, 66062. It's in Olathe.
One thing I'm finding at all of the seminars is folks, they know somebody or they themselves have been a victim of identity theft.
Why so many ID theft cases in Olathe? Police tell me they encourage victims to report the crime to the FTC.
We encourage our officers through the course of training over the last several years that when they're taking an identity theft report, they notify the victims that, hey, you need to go to the Federal Trade Commission's website and make a report with them as well.
Where you live may also put you at risk. Our investigation shows the majority of ID theft complaints come from high-income neighborhoods with people earning $75,000 or more.
It took the better part of a year, if not a year.
No matter why or where the crime happens, ID theft takes months, even years, for victims to recover. And just who is most likely to be a victim? Well, women and young adults between 16 and 24 are targeted the most by identity thieves. Now, to find out where your zip code ranks in the number of ID thefts, go to NBCActionNews.com, click on Money, and then Call for Action. You will see all of the results of all of the local zip codes.
Well, income tax theft is also an issue. How do you protect yourself from that?
Well, number one, keep in mind that this most likely is happening because of scams. Always remember that the IRS does not contact you directly by way of email. If you receive an email that says, hey, we're from the IRS, or we're a company that is endorsed by the IRS, click delete. It's probably more likely a scam. Tomorrow morning, we will have on here the top 5 states where identity theft seems to happen the most.
All right. Look forward
Always
to
a
that.
very interesting story. Thank you.
Sure.